We're at a point where affirmative action is gone, diversity is gone, equity gone, inclusion gone, racial tolerance gone, the Voting Rights Act largely gone. But guess what, extremists? We're still here.
That's right.
And we're not going anywhere.
Okay, so Obama-era policies dealt a serious blow this week after a Supreme Court ruling that congressional districts can't be drawn based on racial lines after two congressional districts in Louisiana stretched almost 200 miles from Shreveport all the way down to New Orleans to essentially ensure that the districts would be represented by African Americans in Congress, which they were. Barack Obama tweeting, quote, "Today's Supreme Court decision effectively guts a key pillar of the Voting Rights Act, freeing state legislatures to gerrymander legislative districts to systematically dilute and weaken the voting power of racial minorities as long as they do it under the guise of partisanship rather than explicit racial bias." The implication being that racializing congressional districts is somehow a good thing, and that what the Supreme Court just did is somehow voter suppression, which of course is just absurd. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts stating that, quote, "The way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race." And our next guest has an idea for how to do that. Chuck Todd is the former host of Meet the Press. He is the current host of the Chuck Todd Cast. Chuck, appreciate you being back.
Thank you, Rob.
You tweeted that we should stop all of this by unlocking the House. Can you explain that?
So the original concept of the House of Representatives and Madison's argument for it was that the House would expand. The House was meant to be the true voice of the people, right? They did not have the people directly elect president, and they did not have the people directly elect senators at the founding. It was the House of Representatives. And the point was to expand the size of the House with the population of the country, something that we did every 10 years. So during the census, we actually were making two decisions up until 1920, and I'll get into that quick history lesson, which was how many congressional districts should there be, and then how many per state. Well, look, 1920, I know this is going to shock your audience. In 1920, the two parties had a disagreement over how many, not just which state should get the districts, but how many new ones should be added. The stalemate lasted the entire decade. Then in 1930, they locked it in at 435. We have doubled in population. We added 2 states. We kept the 435.
Yeah, I think we've tripled in population.
Right. And what this has done is it's created, I mean, I'm going to use the metaphor of a table and chairs. We have the same size table, and there's more people that want to sit at this table. And in Madison's vision, and this is why, I think I consider myself a Madisonian in this case.
Okay.
Which is he believed that, look, in order to make sure you're properly representing the people, you're going to have to expand the table, the size of the table, which in this case is the House of Representatives.
So let me just recap. So we've got 435 congressional districts in the country.
1 per 800,000 people.
Yeah, I think it's 770. That's the population of Wyoming, right? The one district in Wyoming. So I understand that it probably makes sense to maybe expand that. Let me just ask, who does the redrawing of the districts? Isn't that just like gerrymandering under another name?
Well, look, but if you go down to say 1 per 400,000, when we locked this in, it was 1 per 350,000 people, approximately.
Right.
You go to 1 per 400,000. Look, you're still going to have the legislatures are still going to draw it the way they want to draw it.
I get it, but who, Chuck? Seriously, like I'm with you.
Yeah.
But who does this? Even because there's no, you can get let's say Democrats in the Oval Office.
The Constitution says what it is.
Okay, so then it's the state doing it. So it's just going to be gerrymandering all over again, correct?
But it's yes, but if you've got twice as many districts, the need to gerrymander is harder. You're not going to be able to cut certain constituencies groups out. You're more likely to have, so take the state of Massachusetts, because we always look at this through the prism of the South.
Yeah.
But take the state of Massachusetts. There's 30 to 40 to 45% of people who are conservative.
Look at New Hampshire. It's like 45%.
Sure. And if you essentially double the number of members of Congress, then all of a sudden you're going to have the proper representation. There is going to be impossible to draw, say, in Massachusetts, eight or nine more congressional seats that were somehow already
I got it. So just in the interest of time.
opens the door to everything, and you don't need to have these court fights.
Want to play a soundbite? I thought this was interesting. There was another assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life on Saturday. You said this in reaction.
I'm not going to any more events where Trump's at them. I don't feel safe. Wherever Donald Trump
Chaos follows him.
Chaos follows him. And you are less safe, right? If you decide to go into his orbit, you have become less safe.
Do you see the irony in the fact that it's Democrats that are trying to kill Donald Trump?
I don't call it. I don't know if it's irony. This is the era we live in, and what I would say is that, you know, what I'm frustrated by is everybody thinks it's somebody else's fault. And ultimately, if you're going to tone down the violence, it's gotta be a bipartisan effort, and it's got to be led by the singular figure, by the president. And so when I say that, you're right. I mean, the thing is, my point is this. This is not a security problem in America. Because if you continue to tighten up security between our elected leaders.
What if I say
and
it's
the
a
people,
Democrat problem in America, Chuck? Like, seriously, like they're trying to kill the man. 3 Democrats in a row.
And I would argue that the era we're living in, you know, I had my face on a van by a pipe bomber. I had the FBI. I had those threats at me. That came from a crazy guy who politically, I guess, was on the right.
I don't like to hear that, but you're not the president. I don't like to hear that.
No, I understand
that's terrible, but
my point is this, Rob. I don't think when you embrace pugilism, you create an environment of it. And I think
who's
we're in an
embracing
environment
pugilism, though? Isn't it Democrats in the media and Democrats in Washington that are maybe? I mean, we're talking about 3 straight Democrats here.
Look, the thing is this is what I can't stand about this issue. This is not a one-sided issue. Yeah. You have people saying stupid things. I don't. I think the President of the United States, when he first campaigned in 2016, embraced the idea of fighting, embraced the idea of seeing people taken out by stretchers. He celebrates the death of Robert Mueller. My point is that
then Democrats try to kill him for
this, and I'm sitting here saying that I don't think either comment or either behavior is good. And the point is that this is an environment where we are living in a reactionary political environment right now. Okay. And I don't think either side behaves in a way that's only about essentially attacking the other side. And I think what happens is when a crazy person...
I hear what you're saying.
When somebody snaps, they just go crazy.
I do hear what you're saying. I do think the left, I think that Democrats, particularly in the media and in Washington, need to take some ownership, especially if this happened to Joe Biden or Barack Obama. There'd be no other news. There'd be no war in Iran. We wouldn't be talking about gas prices. This would consume the news.
Democrats were murdered in Minnesota. A lawmaker was murdered in Minnesota a couple months ago.
By a Democrat.
This is not a one-sided situation. And I think the problem is if we only treat it as a one-sided political problem, then it gets politicized and nobody thinks, everybody feels... Okay. You know, I cover politics in stereo, and I do think our algorithms make it so that many people don't realize this is an American problem.
Right. I'm just talking about your soundbite. We were just talking about Donald Trump, and it's 3 for 3.
I just said that. Look,
on Saturday.
I'm just saying
3 for 3 Democrats trying to kill Donald Trump. All right,
right.
Chuck, we got to leave it there.
I'm out.
Appreciate you being here, Chuck Todd. Thank you. We'll do it again. All right.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.